morning, artists. Happy Wednesday, middle of the week. Sunny day, still chilly out, but we're making it work when it's even with the sun. It is so bright right now. So just real quick reminders, your project is due on Friday, so make sure that you're still working on it. And if you have questions or troubles, make sure you email me or try to catch me on the stream. It's probably the best way to get a really quick answer. And if there's something you're struggling with, then I can do a little demonstration for you, help you out a bit, okay? In the meantime, we're going to keep working on some art today, doing just some little drawing fun stuff, and have some story time. We're going to continue our rant from yesterday, maybe? We'll see. So, let me turn you around. Whoosh. Back to our girl here. Hope I didn't bump something, did I? I hope I didn't bump anything. Whenever my computer starts thinking, I get worried because sometimes it's the computer and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the phone. We'll give it a second so it can catch back up. So we're still working on our lovely lady here. Looks like there's a couple little spots I need to just fill in. But she's looking pretty nice, I would say. There we go. All right, computer's catching up. So, story time first, guys. Went to the store today. Went to the grocery store. Almost everybody was wearing a mask. I don't think I saw anybody who wasn't, except for like the guy who kept running outside to get the carts. And at one point, he brought the carts inside, and he didn't have a mask on. But he wasn't in there for very long, so it was fine. Everyone else was wearing masks. But as I am leaving the fruit and veggie area, the produce area, I see this lady actually pull her mask down, pick up one of the little plastic baskets of strawberries and starts sniffing it. Like, just pulls it right up to her nose and just deep old inhale on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, do you not understand the concept of we are in trouble because of a virus that mostly comes out of people's breathing. And you are up here sniffing on the strawberries. And then she sets it back and picks up another one and just inhales, breathes it in. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this lady is just breathing all over the strawberries. And she was not like, this was not a case of, this was an older person who, doesn't know better. She was like, well, maybe she was too young to, maybe this is a case of young and dumb. Probably a little bit younger than me. Just sniffing on these strawberries. And I kind of laughed even more because it was in the organic section, which, that's where they don't use like any kind of pesticides or anything like that. I think largely it's an excuse that you can charge more for groceries. I don't know. I don't have a problem with just buying regular berries. I don't need to go organic. Half the time when I go buy the organic ones anyway, they're all half rotted, and no thank you. I'm not going to pay for things that are already rotting. So I'm like, at least I don't have to worry about her sniffing all over the strawberries that I want to buy. Thank goodness I already went through that section, but ugh, just ugh. The grocery store also had put in arrows on the floor with the intention being that you'd have to walk a certain direction going down the aisleways, which I thought was great because, I know that sometimes you have people moving at faster or slower paces, but when you have two people going in opposite directions down an aisle, I mean, it's almost impossible to maintain a distance with that person. You just can't help it. The aisle is only so big. You have to like press yourselves up against the the sides in order to avoid a person. So I was like, this is great. Now you can just follow the arrows and there is a much less chance that you're going to crisscross with people. The only time that you might have to do it now is if a person is in front of you just taking way too long, which it happens. It's a frustration, but everybody stops for a moment and has to look over the shelf to find what they want or to consider if they really need it or something. So that's fine. But I was kind of amused because there was like all these people like going the wrong way. Not all these people. There weren't a ton of them, but there was still quite a few people that like walking right over the arrow, going in the complete opposite direction as everybody else. I was like, you guys, come on. Can't even follow an arrow direction. Like you can't get any more basic than that. Go this way, fool. But it was good to see that the store was attempting to, do better. Try to find ways of getting people to be safer. Because there's just so many people who just aren't being as safe as they should be, So it's good to see that at least some places are doing their best. So kudos to my Meijer down in Canton. They got all their plexiglass up in front of the registers now to help protect their workers. All their workers are now wearing masks. Thank goodness for that. I mean, it's hard enough that they're in there having to do work during this crazy time like that and dealing with people being ridiculous. So it's good seeing that they're all wearing masks and gloves and everything. So love that. So yeah, it was a good, quick trip. It's been, I think, 2 weeks since we last went to the grocery. Buying smart and eating smart. We did get some DoorDash yesterday because it was we had Cinco de Mayo. But we had just had, I think I mentioned this, we had just had tacos not too long ago. So we don't have the beef to make tacos again. So my sister's like, let's just order some Mexican. I'm like, cool. So I had a delicious taco salad. Super crispy tortilla bowl. Very cheesy. It was so good. I forget what my sister got. I didn't pay any attention. I was very focused on my food. And then later I was in a puzzle mood and I completed a puzzle that I had bought from one of my favorite movies of all time called The Labyrinth. If you guys have not seen that, oh my goodness. That was actually a movie that I would bring to class and we would use it as inspiration for making puppet projects. Someday we will do that at our school, but not yet. Not quite ready for that yet. Of course, you need to be in the building too for that to happen. I like how this color's coming out. Why is my music so quiet? There we go. So let's story time a little bit. So yesterday we started talking about Greek mythology. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love Greek mythology. I got into it in 7th grade when my social studies teacher taught us like a Greek board game called Petya, which I still know how to play, and it's a project I do with my 8th graders. 8th grade art class gets to do it. So hopefully some of you guys who keep on with art next year, especially in through the 8th grade, will get a chance to do it. It's a tough project, but it's one of my favorites, and I love doing the board game. But he told us, we got to read a bunch of different stories. We read about Odysseus, who went on a bunch of different boating adventures. But my favorite, by far, was definitely the story of Perseus and Medusa, which is what led to me watching the Clash of the Titans movie. And also me wanting to be Medusa for Halloween, which super kudos to my mom who put together. She was one of those moms that she was always doing. I say what she still is. She does great costumes. She ended up, once my grandmother got into her senior living home, she started they have Halloween parties and stuff. So my mom ended up making costumes for her. So she's always had this flair for doing the Halloween and things like that. And she made me a fantastic Medusa outfit with these big fabric snakes for the hair, and even got these like little battery powered lights in the eyes that would flicker. So at night, as I'm out trick-or-treating in 7th grade, I've got my snake eyes glittering in the dark. It was fantastic. It was a great costume. I know I've got a picture of me somewhere in it. If I find it, I'll have to show you guys. You will crack up. I was such a ham. I'm still a ham. I was such a ham though, and would have to make all the faces and stuff. Had my makeup and everything. It was great. Y'all would be jealous of my outfit. Sharpening. Watch your ears. Pencil, come on. But yeah, so that started me on learning more and more about Greek mythology. And really, part of what I like of it, number one, the stories are great. It's just great, fun, heroic stories. Lots of drama and tragedy. And I would love to see people take some of those stories and update them more. I mean, the Percy Jackson series is fantastic, and they do a really good job of bringing in a lot of real mythos to it. Like, largely very, very accurate. And mad respect, because I would love to see the kind of notes that Rick Riordan has for his for his stories. Like did you compile all of these yourself? Are you do you just keep like Wikipedia open and just click through all the articles to find all these things? Like what's your source, man? What do you have like a map on your wall with the giant Greek family tree? Because I have totally not put it on a wall, but I did make a huge Greek family tree at one point. So the stories are great. There's a lot of interesting characters, and especially now being older, and looking into other mythologies, the Greeks have a level of organization that you just don't really find elsewhere. And I think it's because they're probably better documented than most other ancient mythos. You know, we only know so much about Egypt mythology. And a lot of their mythos changes depending on the region. So like, you know, you go north on the Nile or something, and Isis is the sister of Horus, and you go south and Horus is her son. So the consistency is not quite the same as you find in the Greek. The Greek have almost, even though there are a couple question marks for some of the characters, for the most part, you can follow like Zeus's family tree, or Ares and all of his children and such like that. So I like the level of organization that it has, that you can organize it, really. You know, even things like Norse mythology is another one I've tried to get into a little bit, but it's a little bit harder because there isn't so much a family tree. There are, you know, certain characters, but you don't necessarily hear, you know, how they came into being or who came from where. You know, you have a couple of them that you hear about, and then it's just like, and then there were all these other gods. We don't really know where Freya came from. She just was there. I don't know my Norse. Sorry if that's incorrect, but I don't know my Norse nearly as well as my Greek. Shake her off. So it seems to be much dirtier than the others. Haha, she's the earth. Dirt. Get it? Let's try to clean it up a little bit. See, I wrote Titans on there so I would remember. That's where we had been talking about. So actually, I brought some friends with me today. Some of you guys have seen these before who've been in my classes. These are little pieces for the Petya game. So I teach the students how to make these. They have a little stand. They have the little character. That's probably not the best character. Here you go. That's much better. So that was the little Gaia I made, because she's carrying the earth. And you can see how I've kind of altered the view a little bit. So I gave her like a dress that looked like it was made out of rock or mountain, and then her hair is supposed to kind of simulate earth a little bit. So it's got some green areas, it's got ocean water, so it's like her hair is earthy. And then she also herself is carrying it. So that's my Greek interpretation of Gaia versus my new earthy girl. I like them both. But these would be the playing pieces I'd have the kids make. But I also use them when I'm talking about Greek mythology, because I'll write down what they are and then have a little explanation on the bottom. So this cool little sun thing is the representation of chaos. It is based off of an old artwork that was found that showed chaos as being this sun kind of over almost like a pyramid with an eye. Which, if you're thinking Illuminati confirmed, then kind of yes, because the Illuminati kind of borrowed this symbol a little bit. So chaos was the beginning, and as we kind of talked about yesterday, all the other beings came from it. And before I go further on that, and just explain a little something about the deity figures in Greek mythology. They all, in some way, have the ability to create other deities. Sometimes that is through a combining of powers between two deities, two characters, and sometimes that is just they have kind of created themselves. Either way, they are immortal, mystical beings, so they don't function by the same kind of rules that mortals do, so you kind of have to set some of the weirdness that happens aside when dealing with them. So we've got, let's see if I can fit them all. We've got Chaos. Make sure he's in the right, bring him down a little bit, there we go. And from him came Gaia and Nyx, who was night. That's why I gave her kind of a cool night sky hair. I don't know why I hid her eyes. It just felt like that was a good way of handling her. Hold on, you guys. Gotta move for a second. Shake it off. Bring the camera down for the next part. And let's scooch it this way a bit. There we go. So you can see me art, and I can still put little people out. There we go. Okay. And then also with those two, ooh, what happened? No. Also with those two came Tartarus, who is the underworld. So I kind of gave him a little bit of a warrior look, kind of leaning over this cave-like entrance, going down into the earth. Eventually it became called, eventually Hades, the place, not the person, was kind of created as a part of Tartarus. It kind of exists on a slightly different level. Hades is the place where the dead go. The mortal dead, I guess, would be the best way of putting it. But alongside him was Erebus, who represented darkness. So that's why he's spooky. And Eros, which was the original figure of love. Now, depending on, again, what kind of mythos you talk to, some people will say that Eros was actually the son of Aphrodite, who doesn't show up in all of this till much later. But I think that's the one that has a slightly different setup for how all of these characters kind of showed up. The other ones that came from Chaos were, put them on the other side here. We kind of talked about it. Cronus and, sit here a second, and Ananke. So Cronus was the embodiment of time. So in some cases they say that these two were kind of formed first, or rather Ananke is technically the daughter of Cronus. Time created necessity and fate, and it was from them that the others came from. I can actually hide that. There you go. Let's see if that's working. It looks like everything had saved, so that's good. So I wonder why my computer is not picking it up. Internet still seems to be working. Strange. All right, well, it seems that it's still recording, so just for some reason my computer is not enjoying matching it up right now. Which sucks a little bit. Are you recording now? Let me just make sure it is. Good, good, good. All right. So once again, we had problems with the stream. Boo! It is not phone's fault this time. In any case, we're going to just try to wrap things up a little bit. We finished up our cool lady here. And I think, we only got about 10 minutes left, so let me rephrase that. We are going to pause this for now. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we'll figure out what's going on with these streaming issues and be able to have things a little less interrupted. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Stay safe, stay healthy, work on your projects, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.